Shabbat Shalom, where you've been. Tomorrow is a big day for me. It's my 40th birthday, which has made me reflective on what I've done with the first 40 years that I've been alive and what I want to do with the rest of my years. In this week's parshat, Yaakov is at the end of his life, and he wants to bless his children before he dies. His blessings, though, are not all what you might consider blessings. He reflects on his children's past and what he thinks that means for their future. I thought it might be fun to share with you a little bit about my past, and I'll let you decide what you think that means for my future, since you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been. And the way I thought that I would do this was by explaining some of the tchotchkes that I keep on my shelves in my office. This is a shofar, obviously. It was given to me by Rabbi Steve Cohen, Marion Cohen. Rabbi Steve Cohen was the Hillel director at UC Santa Barbara when I was a student there, and Alicia as well, and he was a tremendous leader and a tremendous mentor for me. Today I still consider him a mentor, but also a friend, and when I use this shofar, this is the shofar that I use on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, I always think about him and all the things that he taught me. This is a yad. This was given to me by my parents. I started to learn to read Torah when I was in the 5th grade, and I took to it very quickly, and I always enjoyed doing it and continued to read throughout middle school, high school, college, and even today. And I like to use my own yad when I remember to use it, and I appreciate that my parents understood how deep of a connection it was to me and to Jewish tradition that I was able to continue to read Torah so regularly. This is a needlepoint. I just got this as a gift from my parents that was made by my great aunt Evelyn, my grandfather's older sister. And if you don't get the joke, then you need to go read the book Robinson Crusoe. I won't explain it to you now, but you can sure look it up. But it's true, only Robinson Crusoe could have everything done by Friday. So Aunt Evelyn was a wonderful woman. She was deeply religious her entire life. She moved to Israel in her 70s with her husband Frank, but unfortunately he passed away pretty soon after they moved to Jerusalem, and she lived there almost the rest of her life alone. And I would visit her there, and there was a lot of great stories I have of Aunt Evelyn, but my favorite is that she used to love hosting people for Shabbat dinner, even though she was alone, and she kept a logbook of every single person that she'd had over for Shabbat dinner, and in her 20 or so years of living in Jerusalem, she'd had thousands of people over to her home for Shabbat dinner on Friday night. So I think about her when I look at this. This is an olive wood Magen David. I got this from a Palestinian Muslim who lives in Bethlehem. I spent one night in Bethlehem at his home when I was there to learn about what life was like for Palestinians in the West Bank. It was an eye-opening trip for bad and for good, and he happened to be an olive wood worker, and so the night we arrived, he made this for me and a friend of mine who stayed over in his home, and I did learn quite a lot on that trip, and so I appreciate looking at this and remembering. And it's hanging on a math award that I won in middle school, and I look at those and I remember being very nerdy and thinking about my middle school days. Maybe today I'm still a little nerdy. These are things that are very near and dear to me. So this is a figurine of a turtle, and this is a bandana. These belong to a friend of mine named Ersi Belcher, who passed away when we were sophomores in high school. I wasn't terribly close with her. We were friendly, but I became close with her mother after she passed away. And her mother was a tremendous mentor for me. Her mother is an Episcopalian priest, the Reverend Sandy Belcher, and she's a hospital chaplain. And she was one of the people that helped me deal with my illness when I had cancer in my early 20s. And she was actually the first person to put the idea in my head about becoming a rabbi. And so I really owe both of them a tremendous debt. And I like to, so this belonged to Ersi, and this was one of her bandanas that she wore when she was in chemo. And I like to look at them and think about the tremendous influence that both of them had in my life. There's a lot more. We could spend all day looking at all the tchotchkes, but I hope you enjoyed looking into my past a little bit. If you're not sure what you want for your future, take a look around you and check out the mementos from your past and see what they can tell you about where you should be going. I hope to see into your future and see you this Friday night at TRZ for Shabbat services, Friday night at 7:30 p.m. for anniversary Shabbat, and Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Shabbat Shalom.